The odor reached Claire before anything else. Acrid, chemical, deeply wrong. She was 7 months pregnant, standing in the middle of her sister-in-law's wedding reception when she felt liquid splash down the length of her back. Before she could even turn around, a voice came close to her ear and whispered, "This is for stealing what belongs to me." Then came the match. Then the fire. Then the screaming. In the 3 seconds it took Claire to throw herself into the swimming pool. Everything she'd ever known collapsed. Because the woman holding that lighter was her husband's co-worker. The woman her husband had always promised was just a friend. The woman Claire's gut had been warning her about for 18 months straight. But the fire, it turned out, was only the beginning. What Claire would uncover in that hospital, about her marriage, about her pregnancy, about the man she believed she knew completely, was so much more devastating than the burns covering her skin. This is a story about survival, about betrayal, about a woman who was stripped of everything and then built something far better from the wreckage. This is Claire's story, and trust me, when I say you need to hear the way it ends, the smell reached Claire first. Sharp, chemical, deeply wrong. She turned, but far too late. The liquid had already soaked its way through her silk dress, the pale blue fabric turning dark in uneven patches across her back and down her sides. Claire's hand moved on instinct toward her belly, 7 months pregnant and visibly round beneath the empire waist of the bridesmaid dress Jennifer had picked for her wedding party. "This is for stealing what belongs to me." Vanessa Hayes stood 3 feet away, her face contorted into something Claire had never witnessed on another human being before. Pure, concentrated hatred. The kind that burned hotter than anything physical ever could. Claire knew Vanessa, Ryan's co-worker from the finance department. The woman who laughed a little too loudly at his jokes at company dinners. The one who touched his arm just a bit too casually. A bit too often. The match came to life between Vanessa's fingers. Time stretched like pulled taffy. Claire watched the small flame dance in the warm evening air. She could still hear the string quartet playing somewhere inside the reception hall. She felt the August heat against her skin and her daughter pressing against her ribs and the cold, wet seeping of gasoline soaking into her dress. The flame found the fabric. Fire burst across Claire's body. Sound detonated all around her. Screaming. Several voices at once, high-pitched and horrified, the roaring of flames, her own voice joining in, wordless, animal, purely instinctive. 3 steps. Claire's mind ran the calculation through raw survival instinct. 3 steps to the swimming pool. Her legs carried her forward. The fire crawled up her dress, heat scorching the skin along her back and legs. Every step felt like pushing through wet concrete. 1. The baby. Only the baby matters. 2. Water ahead. Safety ahead. 3. Claire dove. The world went muffled underwater, chaotic sound dulled to a low roar above her. Claire's body curled automatically around her belly, protective even as her lungs begged for air. The cool water hit her burned skin like something between agony and mercy. She had to come up, had to breathe. Claire kicked toward the surface and broke through into total pandemonium. Hands reached for her. Voices were calling her name. Someone draped a tablecloth around her shoulders. The stench of burned silk and gasoline clung to her hair. "The baby," Claire gasped. "My baby." The ambulance is on the way. A voice she recognized. Bridget, her closest friend and the wedding photographer. "Claire, don't move. You're okay. You're going to be okay." But Claire could not stay still. Her hands moved across her belly, checking, searching for movement. The baby kicked, firm and indignant at the disruption. Thank God. Thank God. Through the crowd, Claire found him. Ryan, her husband, standing perfectly still near the bar where she had left him 10 minutes before. His face had gone completely white, mouth hanging open in shock. He was not moving toward her, not running to help. He was staring at Vanessa. The mistress stood completely frozen, lighter still, clasped in her hand, as security guards closed in from both sides. She was weeping, mascara running down her face in thick black streaks. "I love him," Vanessa screamed it at the crowd. "I love him, and she took him away from me." The guards grabbed hold of her arms. Vanessa fought against them, still screaming. "Ryan, tell them we were supposed to be together." Claire's eyes found Ryan's through the crowd. He looked away. Emma appeared at Claire's side. Her younger sister, still wearing her maid of honor dress, dropped to her knees in the pool water without a single second of hesitation. I've got you, Claire." The EMTs arrived carrying a stretcher. Efficient hands assessed Claire, checking her vitals, firing off questions she could barely process. Yes, 7 months pregnant. No known allergies. Yes, she could feel the baby moving. They lifted her onto the stretcher. As they wheeled her toward the ambulance, Claire caught a glimpse of the upstairs balcony. Robert Mitchell stood there, Ryan's father, both hands gripping the railing. The billionaire real estate developer who had built his entire empire through precise calculated decisions looked utterly stricken. He had seen everything. Claire's vision began to blur. "Shock setting in," the EMT said. "Normal response to trauma." They were loading her into the ambulance. Someone was holding her hand. Emma, crying without making a sound, her grip iron tight. "Where is Ryan?" Claire whispered. Emma's expression hardened. "Don't think about him right now." But Claire turned her head, looking back through the open ambulance doors at the wedding reception coming apart at its seams. Police cruisers arriving, guests huddled in horrified clusters. Jennifer, the actual bride, sobbing in her wedding gown. And Ryan, finally moving, but not in the direction of the ambulance. He was walking toward Vanessa as the officers steered her into their patrol car, arguing with them, gesturing wildly. The ambulance door swung shut, cutting off her view. "Ma'am, I need you to stay with me," the EMT said. His name tag read Marcus. Not the same Marcus as Emma's husband, but the familiar name helped ground her anyway. "Can you tell me where you're feeling pain?" "Everywhere," Claire whispered. "But the baby. Is the baby okay?" Marcus pressed a fetal monitor against her belly, and the rapid, steady thump, thump, thump of her daughter's heartbeat filled the small space. "Strong heartbeat," Marcus said, smiling. "Your baby is a fighter, just like her mom." Claire closed her eyes. The tears finally came. The adrenaline was draining away, replaced by pain radiating outward from her back and legs. "Second-degree burns," Marcus was saying. "Possibly third-degree in certain areas. They'll know more once you're inside." The baby kicked again, harder this time, angry, frightened, alive. "We're okay," Claire whispered to her daughter. "We're going to be okay." But even as the words left her mouth, doubt moved in like smoke, because the image was seared into her mind more permanently than any fire could mark her skin. Ryan, her husband of 3 years, the father of her child, had not followed the ambulance. He had been arguing with Vanessa. The emergency room was too bright. Fluorescent lighting made everything look clinical and cold. Claire lay on her side while nurses cleaned her burns, each touch sending fresh waves of pain through her. "On a scale of 1 to 10, a nurse asked. 8, Claire said, though it felt closer to 100. Emma stood against the wall with her arms crossed, still in her waterlogged maid of honor dress. She had refused to leave to find dry clothes. Her mascara had streaked and her hair had dried in wild, uneven waves from the pool water, but her eyes were sharp and burning with fury. "Where is he?" Emma asked, for the 4th time. Claire did not answer. She was counting contractions. The cramping in her abdomen was arriving in waves, regular, terrifying. The doctor, a woman in her 50s with kind eyes and quick hands, pressed the fetal monitor to Claire's belly again. "Baby's heart rate looks good," she said, "but you're having contractions, regular ones. We need to stop this labor before it progresses any further." "It's too early," Claire whispered. "I know." We're going to administer medication. Magnesium sulfate to slow the contractions. You'll feel warm, maybe a little foggy, but it should work. Should, not will. Should. The IV was placed. Claire watched the clear fluid drip into her veins, willing it to work, willing her body to calm down, willing her daughter to stay safe and close where she belonged for 8 more weeks. Claire. Ryan's voice came from the doorway. He looked disheveled. Tuxedo jacket gone, white shirt untucked. His hair was pushed up in patches like he had been running both hands through it repeatedly. Emma stepped in front of him immediately. You need to leave. She's my wife, Ryan said. She's my sister, and you were not there. Ryan's face went red. I was in shock. Someone just tried to murder Claire. You were with her, Emma said. The accusation hung in the room like smoke. With Vanessa, all of us saw you. I was trying to understand what happened, Ryan said. Why she would. Get out, Claire said. The room went quiet. Everyone turned to look at her. She was staring at the ceiling, her voice completely calm, which somehow made it far worse. Claire, please, Ryan started. Were you with her? Claire said. Not a question. A declaration. Before tonight, were you with Vanessa? The pause stretched 3 seconds too long. It's not what you think, Ryan said. Emma made a sound like something wounded. Are you actually serious right now? Claire is lying here with burns covering her body, pregnant with your baby, and you're going to... I need to hear it from him, Claire said. She finally turned her head to look at her husband directly. Tell me the truth, Ryan. Is Vanessa a colleague or something more? Ryan's mouth opened, closed, opened again. She's a colleague who developed feelings I never encouraged. She became fixated and I tried to handle it gently, but she's clearly not stable. Did you sleep with her? Emma asked. Emma, Ryan said. Answer her, Claire said. We had, There was a brief period, months ago, before we knew about the baby. I ended it. I told her it was a mistake. She refused to accept it. Claire's hand moved to her belly. The baby kicked, unaware of the destruction unfolding around her. How many months ago? Claire whispered. Ryan stared at the floor. It doesn't matter now. How many? Claire said louder. Claire, you're in shock. You need to rest. We can talk about all of this later. Answer the question, Ryan. Robert Mitchell's voice came from the doorway behind him. Ryan turned. His father stood there still in his tailored tuxedo, every inch the billionaire who had built an empire. But his expression was granite, cold, and measuring. Dad, this is not the time. Someone tried to murder your wife and child, Robert said, in front of 100 witnesses at your sister's wedding. And instead of getting into the ambulance alongside Claire, you were talking to the woman who did it. So yes, son, this is exactly the time. Answer her question. Ryan's face shifted from flushed red to pale white. It was ongoing, for a while. The words landed on Claire like the physical blows. Ongoing. A while. Not a single mistake. Not a weak moment. Ongoing. How long is a while? Emma said. Ryan's phone buzzed in his pocket. Once, twice, 10 times in quick succession. Is that her? Claire asked. Is Vanessa calling you from police custody? Ryan pulled out the phone, glanced at the screen, and silenced it. I need my lawyer, he said. Robert's expression did not shift, but something changed deep behind his eyes. Douglas is already on his way. He's coming for Claire, not for you. If you require legal representation, you'll arrange your own. Dad. Get out of this room, Robert said. Security will walk you out. You may wait in the lobby, but you are not to approach Claire again tonight without her permission. I have a right to be here. She's my wife. She is also the victim of an attempted murder, Robert said, and the police want to speak with you at length. 2 hospital security officers appeared in the doorway behind Robert. They did not touch Ryan, but their presence made their purpose entirely clear. Ryan looked at Claire. She looked away. Fine, he said. But this conversation is not finished, Claire. We need to talk. Really talk. When you're thinking clearly. When you're thinking clearly. As though Claire's grasp of what had happened was the problem. As though she was the one who needed to reconsider the facts. Ryan left. The security guards followed. Emma locked the door behind them. Robert pulled a chair close to Claire's bed and approached slowly, as though she might startle. This man, who ran boardrooms and raised skyscrapers, sat down so that his eyes were level with hers. "What did you see?" Claire asked. "From the balcony. What exactly did you see?" "I saw a woman approach you from behind," Robert said. "I saw her pour something onto your dress. I saw her strike a match. I saw you run for the pool. I saw Ryan standing 50 feet away doing absolutely nothing." "He was in shock," Claire said automatically, defending him, even now. "He was calculating," Robert said quietly. "I'm sorry to say it that way, but I've spent 63 years reading people, Claire. Shock looks very different from calculation. Ryan was weighing his options." The door opened. A detective entered, followed by a uniformed officer. The detective was a woman in her 40s, short gray hair, and the kind of tired eyes that come from seeing too much for too long. "Mrs. Mitchell," she said, "I'm Detective Sarah Walsh. I understand this is incredibly difficult, but I need to ask you some questions." Claire nodded. "Do you know Vanessa Hayes?" "Yes, she works with my husband." "Had you ever felt threatened by her before tonight?" Claire thought about the company holiday party. Vanessa's hand on Ryan's arm, the way she had looked at Claire. Territorial, possessive. "I thought she was overly friendly with Ryan," Claire said, "but I never imagined she would." This. "Had your husband mentioned any concerns regarding Ms. Hayes? Unwanted attention? Harassment?" "No," Claire said. Then quieter. "He said there was nothing to worry about." Detective Walsh wrote something in her notebook. "Ms. Hayes has been placed under arrest for attempted murder. She has admitted to the attack. She claims she was emotionally devastated by your husband ending their relationship." Their relationship. As if it were something legitimate, as if it were something that could simply be ended rather than something that should never have existed at all. "How long was the relationship?" Claire asked. "Ms. Hayes claims 18 months, Detective Walsh said. "Can you confirm that?" 18 months. Claire's pregnancy was 7 months along. 18 minus 7 was 11. Ryan had gotten her pregnant while actively maintaining an affair with Vanessa. "Mrs. Mitchell," Detective Walsh said. "I need to throw up," Claire whispered. Emma grabbed a basin just in time. Claire retched, her body trying desperately to expel the poison of what she now knew, but it was already inside her, in her mind, in her memories, corrupting everything it touched. When she finished, Emma gently wiped her face with a cool cloth. "We can continue this tomorrow," Detective Walsh said, "but I do need to ask, did you have any indication that your husband was involved in an affair?" Claire laughed. Even to her own ears, it sounded broken. "I'm pregnant. I have been exhausted and sick and worried about becoming a mother for months. I trusted him. I believed him when he said the late nights were work. I believed him when he told me I was being paranoid. I believed him." She was crying now, tears mixing with the water already on her face. "I believed every single lie." The hospital room was dark, except for the quiet glow of machines monitoring Claire's vital signs and her daughter's heartbeat. Emma had fallen asleep in the uncomfortable chair beside the window, her breathing soft and even. Claire could not sleep. Every time she shut her eyes, she felt the fire again, smelled the gasoline, heard Vanessa screaming about love. The baby kicked. Regular, reassuring movements. The contractions had stopped 3 hours ago. The medication was working. Her daughter was safe. For now. A nurse came in at 2 in the morning to check vitals. Claire kept her eyes closed and pretended to be asleep. She did not want to talk, did not want to explain how she was feeling, did not want to hear empty reassurances that everything would be fine. Because everything would not be fine. Her husband had been sleeping with another woman for 18 months. He had conceived Claire's child while maintaining that affair. He had known his mistress was psychologically fragile and brought her to a family wedding regardless. He had stood there frozen while Claire burned. The antiseptic smell of the hospital triggered something in her. A memory, sudden and sharp. 6 months earlier, Claire had been 4 months pregnant, the morning sickness finally beginning to ease. Ryan had come home just after midnight, claiming a late client meeting. He had gone straight to the shower. When Claire hugged him afterward, she caught the scent of perfume. Sweet, floral, wrong. "Did you hug a client?" she had asked, keeping her voice casual. "What? No, why?" "You smell like perfume." Ryan had stiffened and then laughed and, "Claire B, you sai condisoria quote you're being paranoid. Shui, I took the subway. There was probably some woman standing too close. Maybe I'm just more sensitive because of the pregnancy," Claire had said. "That's probably it," Ryan had told her. He had kissed her forehead. "You need to relax. Stress isn't good for the baby. Stress isn't good for the baby." He had said it so often in those months. Anytime Claire questioned something, anytime her instincts screamed that something was off. He had used her love for their daughter as a weapon against her own perception. Claire's phone buzzed on the nightstand. A text from Bridget. "I saved everything. Photos, video evidence too. Police have copies, but I have the originals. Call when you're ready." Another buzz. An unknown number. "Mrs. Mitchell, this is Douglas Harper. Robert Mitchell has retained me as your attorney. I'll be at the hospital at 8 a.m. with documents you need to review. Best regards." Claire read the message again. Your attorney, not Ryan's, not the family's, hers. The phone buzzed again. Ryan. Claire, please. I know you're angry. I know I made mistakes. But we can work through this. We can go to therapy. I love you. I love our baby. Please, just talk to me. She deleted it without responding. Another memory surfaced, drawn up by the sound of her phone vibrating. 4 months ago, the company holiday party. 5 months pregnant, wearing a dress that made her feel beautiful despite the bump. Ryan had been moving through the room, networking as always. Claire had gone to the restroom. When she returned, Vanessa's hand was resting on Ryan's arm. Familiar, intimate. Ryan was smiling and had not pulled away. Claire had approached. Vanessa had lowered her hand, but not quickly enough. "Claire," Ryan had said, a little too loudly. "There you are. Vanessa was just telling me about the Henderson account." "At a party?" Claire had said. "Work never stops," Vanessa had replied, smiling with very white teeth. "You're so lucky, Claire. Ryan talks about you all the time." The lie had been smooth, practiced. Claire had felt the wrongness of the moment sink into her chest. The way Vanessa looked at Ryan, the way Ryan's smile had not quite reached his eyes. "Don't be jealous," Ryan had said later in the cab ride home. "Vanessa is just friendly. That's how she is with everyone." "She was touching you," Claire had said. "She's Italian," Ryan had said. "They're more physical. You're reading too much into it." And Claire had let it go. Because she was pregnant, because she was tired, because she did not want to be the paranoid wife, because Ryan had made her feel ridiculous for noticing. She had dismissed her own instincts, pushed past the red flags, chosen the comfortable lie over the terrifying truth. The door to her hospital room opened softly. Claire tensed, expecting the night nurse. Douglas Harper entered instead. He was younger than she'd anticipated. Maybe late 40s. Graying hair. The kind of face belonging to someone who had witnessed people at their absolute worst and still chose to stay compassionate. "I apologize for the early hour," he said quietly, glancing at Emma, still sleeping. "But what I need to show you cannot wait until morning." He pulled a chair beside Claire's bed and opened his laptop. "Robert hired a forensic accountant this evening," Douglas said. He wanted to understand the full scope of the situation before any legal steps were taken. Legal steps? Claire's voice came out rough. Divorce, most likely, Douglas said, given the circumstances. But what we found goes considerably beyond infidelity. He turned the screen toward her. Bank statements, credit card records, highlighted line items. Ryan has a second apartment, Douglas said. He has been paying rent on it for 18 months. Monthly charges to a building in Tribeca. Tribeca. Expensive, the kind of address young professionals dreamed about. He told me we couldn't afford to leave Queens, Claire said. He said we needed to save money for when the baby came. Douglas nodded. He also made substantial purchases. Jewelry, multiple pieces from Tiffany, hotel stays, restaurant charges at very high-end locations, all while you were pregnant. Claire's hands found her belly automatically. The baby kicked. How much? She whispered. Approximately $80,000 over 18 months, Douglas said, all while telling you the family budget was tight. $80,000. While Claire had stopped buying her morning coffee to save money, while she had convinced herself they could not afford postpartum help after the birth, while she had lain awake worrying about childcare costs. There's more, Douglas said gently. The accountant accessed Ryan's email through the company server. Robert owns the company, so it's entirely legal. But Claire, I need to prepare you. What you're about to read is going to hurt. More than someone setting me on fire? Claire said. More than finding out my husband has been lying for 18 months straight? Douglas handed her the laptop. An email was open on the screen, from Ryan Mitchell to Vanessa Hayes, 3 months ago. Subject, us. V. I know this is difficult, but you understood the situation from the beginning. Claire is pregnant with my father's first grandchild. The timing is complicated. Give me 6 months after the baby arrives to sort things out. We can't be together openly right now, but that doesn't change how I feel. Just be patient. R. Claire read it 3 times. Every word was a fresh cut. Sort things out meant divorce. Can't be together openly meant hiding. My father's first grandchild meant obligation. She had not been a wife. She had been an obligation, a temporary inconvenience. There are more, Douglas said. Dozens. Love letters, planning emails. Some from as recently as 3 days ago. Claire's hands were trembling. She twisted her wedding ring around and around her finger without realizing it, a nervous habit from childhood showing up now when she had nothing else to hold on to. What did the one from 3 days ago say? She asked. Douglas hesitated. Are you sure you want to read it? Tell me. He clicked to another email, from Ryan Mitchell to Vanessa Hayes, 4 days before the wedding. Subject, this weekend. V, I know you're frustrated about not coming to Jennifer's wedding as my guest, but Claire will obviously be there, and my entire family will be present. Give it a few more months. After the baby comes and things settle, I'll tell Claire I want out. Then we can finally be together properly. I promise it will be worth the wait. R. A few more months after the baby comes. Tell Claire I want out. The plan had already been written. The timeline was already set. Claire was supposed to deliver his child, solidify his position in his father's company, and then be discarded. Emma stirred in her chair, waking to find Claire staring at the laptop with tears running silently down her face. Claire, what is it? Is it the baby? He never wanted us, Claire said. Her voice came from somewhere distant, like it belonged to someone else entirely. Ryan never wanted this baby, or me. We were just steps in his plan. Emma was at her side in seconds, reading over her shoulder. Her face went white, then blazed red with fury. I'm going to kill him, she said. Claire, I swear to God. He was going to leave me, Claire said. After the baby. He had it all mapped out. Douglas gently closed the laptop. I'm sorry you had to see that. But you need to understand exactly what you are dealing with. Ryan is not simply an unfaithful husband. He is manipulative, calculating, and based on Vanessa's behavior tonight. Potentially dangerous. She tried to kill me because she loved him, Claire said. The full absurdity of it crashed over her. She believed I had stolen him, but I never really had him. He was never mine. The baby kicked hard, as if objecting to all of it. You have her, Emma said, placing her hand over Claire's on her belly. And you have us. And now you know the truth. The truth. Every good memory was now contaminated. Every I love you held in question, every kiss potentially preceded by kissing someone else. Claire thought about the day she had told Ryan she was pregnant. They had been trying for months. She had taken the test alone, seen the positive result, and driven straight to his office to share the news. He had looked surprised, then pleased. But there had been something else in his expression, something she had not understood until now. He had paused for just a moment before the smile, before the hug. He had needed a second to calculate how this development changed his plans. There is one more thing, Douglas said. Vanessa is claiming that Ryan actively encouraged the attack. She says he told her repeatedly that if Claire were out of the picture, they could be together much sooner. The prosecution is investigating whether Ryan was complicit in the attempted murder. The room tilted. Claire's monitor began to beep. A nurse rushed in. Her blood pressure is spiking, the nurse said sharply. Everyone out. Now. But, Emma started. Out, the nurse said again firmly. She needs to calm down or we risk losing the baby. Emma and Douglas left. The nurse adjusted Claire's IV and added something that made her feel soft around the edges. Breathe, the nurse said. In through the nose, out through the mouth. Your baby needs you calm. Claire breathed, focused entirely on the physical act of it. Air in, air out. Her daughter's heart beat steady on the monitor. She stared out the window as the sunrise began to color the sky. The city was waking up. People were starting their days, completely unaware that Claire's entire world had just come down around her. She had been set on fire the night before. But this morning, reading those emails, had been the real burning, the real destruction, because the fire had damaged her body, but the truth had destroyed something deeper, her sense of what love was, her belief in the life she thought she had, the version of herself who had trusted him completely. That woman was gone now, and Claire did not yet know who would step out of the ashes. Morning came in with hard light and harder facts. Claire had been moved to a private room. Robert's doing, Emma explained. Better security. More privacy. The hospital had already begun fielding calls from reporters who had picked up the story. Pregnant woman set on fire by husband's mistress at family wedding. It was exactly the kind of headline that explodes across every platform within hours. Douglas Harper arrived again at 8 exactly, as he had promised. This time he brought Patricia Mitchell with him. Claire had not seen her mother-in-law since the wedding reception. Patricia stood in the doorway, perfectly composed despite the hour, but her usual control was cracked. She looked somehow older, smaller. May I come in? Patricia asked. Claire nodded. What else was there to do? Patricia took the chair beside the bed, her hands folded carefully in her lap. I owe you an apology. For what? For raising a man capable of doing this, Patricia said. Her voice held steady, but her eyes were wet. For failing to see what he had become. For making excuses when I should have been asking questions. Emma moved to position herself protectively near Claire, but Patricia raised one hand. I'm not here to defend him, she said. Robert showed me the emails, the financial records, all of it. And I finally admitted to myself that I had been lying about my own son for years. Douglas cleared his throat. Mrs. Mitchell, if we could... No, Patricia said firmly. She needs to hear this first. Claire met Patricia's eyes and waited. Ryan has always been calculating, Patricia said. Even as a small child, he would figure out exactly what someone wanted to hear and then say precisely that. I told myself it was intelligence, that it was social awareness, But it was manipulation. It was always manipulation. She reached into her purse and brought out a small jewelry box. "This belonged to my grandmother," Patricia said, opening it. Inside sat a stunning emerald surrounded by a ring of diamonds. "It is meant to pass down through the women who marry into the Mitchell family. I never gave it to you because I did not believe you would last. I thought you were too soft for Ryan, too kind." Claire flinched slightly. "I was wrong," Patricia continued. "Being soft is not the same as being weak. Being kind is not the same as being foolish. You're stronger than my son will ever be. This ring belongs to a woman of real character. You have earned it. He never did." She held the box out. Claire stared at it for a moment. "I don't want to be a Mitchell," she finally said. "Then keep your own name," Patricia said, "but take the ring for your daughter. She is a Mitchell, whether any of us likes it or not. Let her have something from this family that represents what we should be. Not what Ryan is." Claire took the box. Its weight felt significant, historical, something meaningful being passed along. "Thank you," she whispered. Patricia nodded once and left quickly, as if staying a moment longer would undo her composure entirely. Emma exhaled slowly. "Did that actually just happen?" "I need to show you the rest," Douglas said, opening his laptop again. "It gets worse." "How could it possibly get worse?" Claire asked. Douglas brought up another email. 3 weeks before the wedding. From Ryan Mitchell to Vanessa Hayes. Subject: Re. I can't do this anymore. V. You're being dramatic again. Claire means nothing to me beyond obligation. The pregnancy was strategy, not emotion. My father expects an heir, and I provided one. Once the baby is born and I have secured my position in the company, I'll file for divorce. But you need to stop these jealous outbursts. They're exhausting. If you really love me, you'll be patient. R. The pregnancy was strategy, not emotion. The words settled into Claire's chest like stones dropped in still water. Strategy. Their daughter, alive and kicking inside her body, right now, had been strategy. "I'm going to be sick again," Claire said. Emma grabbed the basin. Claire retched, but nothing came. Just dry heaves and bile. "There's a pattern across all of these emails," Douglas said quietly. "Ryan says, when whatever's needed, to keep Vanessa attached to him. He promises they will be together. He insists Claire means nothing. But simultaneously, he is destabilizing her psychological state." He pulled up another email. From Ryan Mitchell to Vanessa Hayes. 1 month before the wedding. Subject: Re. I saw you with her. V. Your jealousy is becoming completely uncontrollable. I have to maintain appearances in public. Touching Claire means nothing. You are the one I actually want. But if you cannot trust me, maybe we need to take a step back. Think carefully about whether you truly want this if it makes you this unstable. R. He's gaslighting her, Emma said, reading over Claire's shoulder. He is deliberately making her unhinged. That is what the prosecution believes, Douglas said. Vanessa has a documented history of anxiety and clinical depression. Ryan knew this, and he systematically exploited her emotional vulnerabilities while convincing her that Claire was the enemy. He weaponized her mental illness against her, Claire said, and against me. Douglas nodded. Vanessa's defense attorney is arguing she was manipulated into the attack, that Ryan's psychological abuse pushed her to her breaking point. She is not claiming innocence, but she is arguing that Ryan shares moral culpability. Does she have proof? Emma asked. She recorded several of their conversations, Douglas said. Her attorney released one to the police this morning. He hovered over an audio file. Are you certain you want to hear this? Claire was not certain, but she needed to know. Douglas pressed play. Ryan's voice filled the room. V, you need to calm down. I cannot keep having this same conversation. Vanessa's voice, tearful and desperate. You said after the baby you would leave her, but you're acting like a completely happy husband. I saw the Instagram post. You called her your world. Ryan sighing. That's for my father, for the company image. You know, none of it is real. Then why won't you just tell her about us? Because the timing is completely wrong. My father just made me director of the East Coast Division. If I blow up my marriage right now, I lose everything. You need to think long term. I'm tired of being a secret. Then maybe you should think about whether you're actually cut out for this. I need someone strong, V. Someone patient. Not someone who falls apart every time things get a little difficult. If you can't handle it, there are plenty of other women who could. Silence on the recording. Then Vanessa, small and broken. No, I can handle it. I'm sorry. I'll do better. Good. Because I really don't need this added drama. I have enough stress with Claire crying over baby things every other night. The recording ended. Claire felt completely hollow, beyond anger, beyond pain, in some territory where ordinary emotions had no names. He was going to discard her, too, Claire said, quietly. Eventually, once she stopped being useful. Yes, Douglas said. Ryan uses people, and once they no longer serve his purposes, he removes them. Emma was pacing, her hands balled into fists at her sides. Can we use any of this in court? Can we prove he encouraged the attack? The prosecution is actively building that case, Douglas said. But Claire, you need to understand what this means for you. If Ryan is charged as an accessory to attempted murder, the media coverage will be enormous. Your private life will be examined in public, and Ryan will fight back hard. Let him fight, Claire said. Her voice was steadier than she felt. I am done protecting him. A knock at the door interrupted them. Detective Walsh entered, looking even more worn than she had the night before. Mrs. Mitchell, Vanessa Hayes is being arraigned this afternoon. She has formally confessed to the attack, but she is also making serious accusations against your husband. I know, Claire said. Douglas told me. Ryan has retained an attorney, Detective Walsh continued. Criminal defense, expensive one. He's claiming Vanessa was a stalker who became fixated on him. He denies any romantic involvement, says he simply tried to let her down gently. Claire laughed, dry and sharp. Of course he does. We have the emails, Detective Walsh said. The recordings. Financial records for the apartment and the gifts. Ryan's lies are well documented. But I want to warn you, he is already telling reporters that you are an unreliable witness. Pregnancy hormones, emotional instability, jealousy. He is planting those seeds. Anonymous sources saying Claire was controlling, Emma said. We've already seen it online this morning. Ryan's PR counterattack. Claire felt her blood pressure rising. The monitor beeped. A nurse appeared at the doorway, checking the readout. All of you need to give her a break, the nurse said. This level of stress is not safe for the baby. 5 more minutes, Detective Walsh said. Mrs. Mitchell, I need to ask directly. Do you want to press charges against your husband? For his role in this? Conspiracy, reckless endangerment, emotional abuse. We are building a case, but it will be considerably stronger with your testimony. Claire looked at her own hands. They were shaking again. She pressed them flat against her belly and felt her daughter moving beneath them. What kind of father would this child have? A manipulative one. A calculating one. A man who had referred to her as strategy. Yes, Claire said. I want to press charges. Detective Walsh nodded. We will need a detailed statement. Not today. You need rest. But soon. And Mrs. Mitchell, document everything from here forward. Texts, calls, any contact he attempts. All of it is evidence now. She left. Douglas prepared to follow. Wait, Claire said. What happens next, legally? A restraining order first, Douglas said, against both Ryan and Vanessa. Then divorce proceedings and the associated actions. Given the circumstances, we will push for emergency custody provisions. Ryan will not have unsupervised access to the baby, not until he has undergone a full psychological evaluation. Will he fight it? Douglas smiled grimly. He will fight absolutely everything. But Claire, He has already lost. He just doesn't know it yet. After they left, Emma climbed carefully into the hospital bed beside Claire, navigating around the IV lines and monitors. I never liked him, Emma said quietly. From the very first time you brought him home, something about him felt completely off. Why didn't you ever say anything? I did, Emma said. Do you remember? I said he seemed too polished, too perfect. You told me I was being overprotective. Claire did remember. 2 weeks after she had started dating Ryan, Emma had pulled her aside at a family dinner. He's performing, Emma had said. Like he studied what families are supposed to look like, and he's playing the role. And Claire had been offended, had accused Emma of being jealous of her happiness, had kept her at a distance for weeks afterward. You were right, Claire whispered. I wish I had pushed harder, Emma said. I wish I had made you actually listen. I wasn't ready to hear it, Claire said. I wanted the fairy tale, the successful husband, the baby, the beautiful life. I looked away from every red flag because the truth was too frightening. They lay there together in silence. Outside, the city carried on. People commuting to work, eating lunch, making plans, living their ordinary lives. Claire's ordinary life was gone. But lying there with Emma's hand over hers and her daughter moving inside her belly, Claire felt something shift. Not hope, not yet, but possibility. The version of herself who had believed Ryan's lies was gone for good. That was the right outcome. She had been naive, desperate to be loved, willing to silence her own instincts to preserve the illusion. The woman coming up, out of the ashes, would be different. Harder, wiser, self-sufficient, completely finished with men who called her pregnancy strategy. 3 days had passed since the fire. Claire's burns were beginning to heal, her baby was stable, and the rest of the world had completely lost its mind over her story. Pregnant woman set ablaze by husband's mistress at family wedding was trending on every platform. Video footage from wedding guests had gone viral. Bridget's photographs appeared everywhere. Claire's dress in flames. Her dive into the pool. The moment of impact caught forever. Claire sat in her hospital bed with Emma's laptop, scrolling through the disaster. Stop reading the comments, Emma said from her chair. She had barely left Claire's side. I can't, Claire said, because mixed in with the outpouring of sympathy were accusations. She must have known about the affair. What did she do to push him away? Pregnant women can be emotionally volatile. Maybe she was controlling. Maybe she imagined some of this. Ryan's PR campaign was already in motion. Anonymous sources had contacted tabloids claiming Claire had been emotionally unstable throughout the pregnancy, that she had been paranoid about Ryan's work schedule, that the marriage had been under considerable strain long before any of this. All lies. But lies spoken with enough confidence have a way of becoming truth in the public eye. Mrs. Mitchell? A different nurse appeared. They changed shifts every 8 hours. You have a visitor. Security cleared him. Robert Mitchell? Let him in, Claire said. Robert entered carrying flowers and a thick folder. He looked as though he had aged years in the past 3 days. How are you feeling? He asked. Like a liar, according to the internet, Claire said. Though I suppose someone did physically set me on fire, so. Robert's jaw tightened. Ryan hired a PR firm. They're generating those rumors. I've hired someone considerably better. By tonight, the story shifts. He opened the folder and spread documents across Claire's bed. This is Ryan's complete financial history, Robert said. Every transaction across the last 3 years. The forensic accountant found something beyond the affair. What? Emma asked, moving closer. Embezzlement, Robert said. $500,000 taken from company accounts across a 3-year period. Small amounts, cleverly concealed, but it's all there. Claire studied the numbers. That's how he could afford the Tribeca apartment, she said. The gifts, the hotels. He was stealing from you. From the company, Robert corrected. Which means from every employee and shareholder in it. Criminal charges are being filed. The Manhattan DA is involved. Does Ryan know? Claire asked. Not yet. He'll find out when he's arrested. Probably tomorrow. Claire tried to find satisfaction in it, vindication, but mostly she just felt exhausted. Her phone rang, Ryan's number. She had blocked him twice already, but he kept calling from different devices. Don't answer, Emma said. But Claire answered. Put it on speaker. Claire, thank God, please just listen. No, Claire said. Her voice was flat and cold. You, listen. I know about the embezzlement. I know you're about to be arrested. I know everything, Ryan. Every lie, every manipulation, every calculation. Silence on his end. The police told you? He finally said. Not a question. Your father told me, Claire said. He hired forensic accountants, lawyers, and investigators. Everything you did is documented. Every cent you stole, every email you wrote, every promise you made to Vanessa about leaving me after the baby arrived. Claire, you don't understand. Everything I did was for our future. You called our pregnancy strategy, Claire said. You told Vanessa I meant nothing to you. You manipulated her until she tried to kill me. You stole money from your own father's company. Nothing you did was for us. Every single bit of it was for you. I can explain. No. You are finished explaining. You are finished lying. The restraining order prohibits you from contacting me. This call is being recorded and will be handed directly to the police. Do not call again. Do not send messages. Do not come anywhere near me or our daughter. Our daughter? Ryan's voice broke. Claire, she's my baby too. You cannot just take her from me. Watch me, Claire said, and ended the call. Her hands would not stop shaking. Adrenaline was flooding through her, making her feel simultaneously powerful and terrified. Emma pulled her into a hug. You were incredible. I was a wreck, Claire said. You were strong, Robert corrected, and completely appropriate. Ryan needed to hear exactly that. But Claire's chest felt tight, her breathing shallow, because standing up to him, saying those words out loud, had felt like stepping off a cliff. Thrilling and terrifying at once. What if she could not actually do this without him? What if she needed him despite everything? No. She pushed the thought away firmly. That was fear. That was the old Claire speaking, the one who had made herself smaller to avoid conflict, who had twisted her wedding ring unconsciously during every difficult conversation. The new Claire did not need a man who had called her baby strategy. The door burst open. Emma's husband, Marcus, came through first, followed closely by Bridget. Turn on the television, Bridget said. Channel 7, right now. Emma found the remote. The local news filled the screen. A reporter stood on the sidewalk outside Ryan's office building. Breaking news in the wedding fire case. Sources confirm that Ryan Mitchell, husband of attempted murder victim Claire Mitchell, will face arrest tomorrow on embezzlement charges. Police sources say Mitchell took over $500,000 from his father's real estate company across a 3-year period. These funds allegedly supported an 18-month affair with Vanessa Hayes, the woman who attacked Claire Mitchell at a family wedding 4 days ago. The footage cut to photographs. Ryan and Vanessa together, walking into the Tribeca apartment, seated at restaurants. The evidence was damning. Additionally, prosecutors are now investigating whether Ryan Mitchell encouraged or even facilitated the attack on his wife. Recordings have surfaced of Mitchell telling Hayes that if Claire was out of the picture, they could be together much sooner. While no charges have been filed on that front, sources indicate it is under active investigation. The screen showed wedding footage. Claire's dress burning, her dive into the pool, paramedics loading her into the ambulance. Ryan Mitchell's attorney has released a statement denying all allegations, describing the situation as a witch hunt orchestrated by his estranged father. However, sources close to the family describe a very different picture. The news cut to commercial. Claire's phone started going off, text after text. Friends she had not heard from in months. Oh my God, are you okay? Co-workers, we had absolutely no idea. We are so sorry, her mother's closest friend. Your mom would be so proud of how you're carrying yourself through this. That one broke Claire open. She cried. Your story is out there now. Bridget said gently. The real story, not Ryan's version. Everyone knows, Claire whispered. Everyone knows what he did to you, Emma corrected. That's a very different thing. Claire's phone rang. An unknown number. She almost let it go, but something made her answer. Hello? Mrs. Mitchell, this is Jennifer, Ryan's sister, the bride. The woman whose wedding had been destroyed by Claire's burning. Hi, Claire said carefully. I wanted to call earlier, but I genuinely did not know what to say, Jennifer said. Her voice was thick, like she had been crying for hours. My wedding is all anyone talks about now. Not the vows or the first dance. Just the fire. Just the drama. I'm sorry, Claire said automatically. Don't, Jennifer said sharply. Do not apologize. That's what Ryan keeps doing. Sorry his mistress ruined my wedding. Sorry for the media attention. Sorry. But he is not actually sorry. He is sorry he got caught. Claire did not know what to say. I called to tell you I am testifying, Jennifer continued. Against Ryan? The prosecution asked for character witnesses. I'm going to tell them exactly what kind of person my brother actually is. Jennifer, you don't have to. Yes, I do, Jennifer said, because I have watched him lie our entire lives. I have watched him charm people, use people, and then throw them away the moment they stopped being useful. And I kept telling myself it was not my problem. But he brought that woman to my wedding. He knew she was not stable. He knew what might happen. And he did it anyway because he does not actually care about anyone except himself. Jennifer's voice broke. You were 7 months pregnant, Claire. You could have died. The baby could have died. At my wedding. Because my brother is a selfish, calculating, completely self-centered person. We're okay, Claire said. We made it. But you should not have to just be okay, Jennifer said. You should be able to trust your own husband. You should feel safe in your own life. They talked for 20 more minutes. Jennifer shared stories about Ryan's history. A girlfriend in college he had driven into therapy through psychological manipulation. A business partner he had swindled. A consistent pattern of behavior that their parents had always managed to look past because Robert Mitchell's money had a way of making problems disappear. Until it didn't, Jennifer said. Until he heard someone our father actually cared about. After they hung up, something loosened in Claire's chest. Validation from places she had never expected it. That afternoon, Vanessa's arraignment took place. Claire watched it streamed on Emma's laptop. Vanessa looked diminished in her orange jumpsuit. Broken. Nothing like the polished, confident woman from company events. Her attorney argued for reduced bail, citing mental health concerns. The prosecutor responded with photographs of Claire in the hospital. Burns covering her back and legs. The fetal distress readings. The danger Vanessa presented. Bail was set at $1 million. Vanessa could not pay. She would remain in custody. Pending trial. When the camera panned across the gallery, Claire saw him. Ryan, seated in the back row, watching Vanessa. The woman who had tried to murder his wife. Who had nearly killed his daughter. Who had claimed to love him. And Ryan was there, in that courtroom, watching her. Not at the hospital with Claire, at Vanessa's arraignment. He still cares about her, Claire said. He cares about himself, Robert said. He had stayed through the entire day, working from Claire's hospital room as if it were his second office. Vanessa knows things. He is there to make sure she does not fully turn against him. Too late, Emma said, pulling up a news article. Vanessa's attorney just released another recording from the day before the wedding. They listened together. Vanessa. I cannot keep doing this, Ryan. Watching you with her, pretending to be happy for your family. It is destroying me. Ryan. Then do something about it. You are always complaining but never actually acting. If you really loved me, you would do whatever it takes to fix this. Vanessa. What exactly does that mean? Ryan. It means stop crying to me and start thinking strategically. I cannot be with you openly until Claire is gone, So either accept that and wait or make a choice. I cannot keep having the same conversation over and over. Silence on the recording. Then Vanessa, very quiet. What would you want me to do? Ryan, I cannot tell you that. But if something happened, if Claire decided to leave on her own, or if she were somehow out of the picture, well, then we would be free, wouldn't we? The recording stopped. The hospital room went completely silent. He told her to do it, Emma said, barely above a whisper. He told her to hurt you. He implied it, Douglas said, appearing in the doorway. He must have arrived during the recording. Legally, it is complicated, but morally, there is no question. He encouraged her to remove Claire from his life. Claire felt cold all the way through, the full weight of it settling over her like ice water. Ryan had not simply cheated, had not simply lied, had not simply stolen. He had wanted her gone. Dead? Perhaps not in those explicit terms, but permanently removed from his life. And he had pressed on Vanessa's fragile mental state, worn down her judgment, whispered until she struck the match. He is going to be charged, Douglas said. Conspiracy to commit attempted murder. The DA is moving forward based on this recording and the others. When? Robert asked. Tomorrow, at the same time as the embezzlement arrest. Tomorrow, Ryan's entire world would come apart. Part of Claire felt a savage kind of satisfaction. He deserved this. Deserved to lose everything he had built through lies. But another part of her, the part that had once genuinely loved him, felt only grief. For the life they might have lived together if he had been honest. For the father, her daughter would not have. For the man she had believed he was, who had never actually existed. That night alone in her hospital room, Claire sat in the bathroom with her back against the cool metal of the door, breathing slowly, letting herself experience all of it. Fear, anger, grief, relief. The particular disorientation of not knowing where one emotion ended and the next began. 3 minutes, just breathing, just being present inside her own body. When she stood and walked back out, she felt clearer. Not better, exactly, but present. Her phone buzzed, a text from an unknown number. Mrs. Mitchell, my name is Andrea Chen. I'm with the Women's Crisis Center. We saw your story in the news. If you're interested, we would love to offer our support services. Therapy, legal assistance, a survivor support group, no pressure at all. Just know that we are here. Claire saved the number. She was not ready for therapy, was not ready for a support group. But maybe someday. Someday when the wounds were not quite so raw. Someday when she could talk about all of this without feeling like she was underwater. Someday when she had become more than just a woman who had survived. But not today. Today, she was simply trying to make it through until tomorrow. And for now, that was enough. Robert Mitchell arrived at Claire's hospital room at 6 in the morning, carrying coffee and a bag of croissants. You cannot keep feeding me French pastries, Claire said. But she took one anyway. You are eating for 2, Robert said, and after today, you are going to need your strength. Today. Ryan's arrest day. Claire had barely slept. Every time she closed her eyes, she saw him, the man she had married, the one who had called their baby strategy. Are you ready to talk about your future? Robert asked. I'm still working through my present, Claire said. Robert sat down in the chair beside her bed. This man who ran boardrooms and built skyscrapers looked suddenly older, worn down. I failed as a father, he said quietly. I gave Ryan everything, money, position, respect. But I never once taught him character, never made him earn a single thing, and now you have paid the price for my failures. Robert, let me finish. He met her eyes steadily. I cannot undo any of what has been done, but I can make certain that you and my granddaughter are taken care of going forward, not as charity, as family, real family. I am divorcing your son, Claire said. Good, Robert said. He does not deserve you, but that does not change the fact that you are carrying my grandchild, and I would very much like to be part of her life, if you are willing to allow it. Claire's throat tightened. Her own father had passed away when she was 12. She had spent years missing exactly this kind of presence. I would like that, she said. Robert nodded. Then here is what I am proposing. I have secured an apartment for you, paid in full, 2 bedrooms, a good neighborhood near a park. It is yours with no conditions attached. I have also established a trust fund for the baby. She will be financially secure regardless of what happens with Ryan's legal proceedings. You will remain on the company health care plan permanently, and Douglas will handle all your divorce and custody matters at no cost whatsoever. That is far too much, Claire said. It is not nearly enough, Robert said. But it is a beginning. I am also doing it because you are the daughter-in-law I should have wanted from the very start. Strong, honest, kind, despite having every possible reason not to be. Because you are giving me a grandchild I do not deserve, and because someone needs to show you that not every Mitchell man is worthless. They sat together in comfortable silence, eating croissants and watching the sunrise stretch across the window. At 9 that morning, Douglas arrived with an update. Ryan was arrested at his apartment 30 minutes ago, he said. Embezzlement and conspiracy to commit attempted murder. Bail hearing is set for this afternoon. Will he get bail? Emma asked. She had appeared with fresh clothes for Claire. The hospital was releasing her today. Probably, Douglas said. He is not considered a flight risk, a white-collar defendant, but the amount will be substantial and there will be strict conditions. No contact with Claire or Vanessa, an ankle monitor, regular check-ins. So, he gets to walk around free, Emma said with audible bitterness. For the time being, Douglas said. But his reputation is in ruins. His employment is gone. His assets are frozen pending the investigation. In practical terms, he is broke. Good, Claire said. Then, because saying it out loud felt important. I am not sorry he is suffering. Does that make me a bad person? It makes you human, Robert said. Detective Walsh arrived at 10 to take Claire's formal statement. Emma stayed in the room, holding Claire's hand the entire time as Claire recounted everything. The red flags she had dismissed, the gaslighting, the pregnancy announcement that should have been one of the happiest moments of her life but had felt somehow wrong. The night of the fire, the hospital, the emails, the recordings, every last detail. You are remarkably composed, Detective Walsh said when Claire finished. I cried for 3 solid days, Claire said. Now I am just angry. Good, Detective Walsh said. Stay angry. Anger keeps you moving forward. And Claire, you are doing everything correctly. Documentation, restraining orders, legal representation. You are building an airtight case. After Detective Walsh left, Patricia arrived. Claire's mother-in-law looked different from before. Less put together, more human. She carried a small bag. I brought you something, Patricia said. Inside were photo albums, old ones with actual printed photographs. These are from when I was pregnant with Ryan, Patricia said. And with Jennifer. I would like you to have them. Why? Claire asked. Because I made my own mistakes, Patricia said. I stayed inside. Marriage that was not happy. I taught my children that appearances mattered more than truth. I covered for Robert's workaholism and excused Ryan's sense of entitlement. And in the end, my daughter paid for it. You paid for it. She opened one album to a photograph of a young Patricia, pregnant and glowing, standing beside a young Robert who looked stiff and slightly uncomfortable. I was 23, Patricia said, pregnant with Ryan. And I already knew that Robert loved his work more than he would ever love me, but I stayed. Because Mitchell women do not leave. We endure. She turned to another photograph. Patricia, holding baby Ryan, her smile present but not quite reaching her eyes. I was lonely, Patricia said softly. For 38 years, I was lonely. And I kept telling myself that was simply what marriage was. That partnership meant suffering in silence. That love was really just a form of duty. She closed the album. Do not do what I did, Claire. Do not stay when you know you should go. Do not pretend when you need to speak. Do not endure when you need to escape. I have already left, Claire said on. I know. Patricia Sazane. That is precisely why you are braver than I ever managed to be. They talked for a full hour. Patricia shared things Claire had never been told, about Robert's affairs in the early years of their marriage, about her own long battle with depression, about the therapy she had finally begun attending the year before, after Jennifer's wedding. I am still learning who I am outside of being Robert Mitchell's wife, Patricia said. At 61 years old, I am finally learning. Better late than never. Exactly, Claire said. Patricia smiled, a genuine one, tinged with sadness, but real. Exactly. That afternoon, Claire was discharged. Emma had brought clothing for her, maternity jeans, and a soft sweater that did not press against her healing burns. Robert drove them to the new apartment. It was in a Brooklyn brownstone, 3rd floor, tall windows, and real character. And it's been called Transit ter Kurio Rancheri Clor, to Sayran Brayshire, and I pressure Durant tercht, Ider Terbrut. The furniture was already in place. A comfortable sofa, a dining table, a nursery painted soft yellow with a crib and changing table, and everything a new baby could need. Patricia and I did the furnishing, Robert said. If anything is not right, we will change it. But Claire loved every piece. It all felt considered and deliberate. A real home. Emma helped Claire unpack the few things she had taken from the Queen's apartment. Clothing. Books. Her laptop. We should go back for the rest of your things, Emma said. I don't want any of it, Claire said. Everything in that apartment reminds me of him. Fresh start, Emma said. Exactly. That evening, Claire sat on her new sofa in her new apartment, one hand on her belly, and cried. Not out of sadness, not out of anger, out of pure release. For 3 hours, she cried. Emma held her. Bridget arrived with ice cream. They did not talk much. They just sat together. Around 11, the tears stopped. I'm okay, Claire said. You will be, Emma gently corrected. At 2 in the morning, Claire could not sleep. The baby was active, shifting and rolling, making rest impossible. She went to the nursery Robert and Patricia had put together, ran her hands along the crib rails, across the soft yellow walls, touched the mobile with its little fabric elephants. Her daughter would sleep here, would grow up here, would have no memory of the Queen's apartment where Claire and Ryan had lived their careful, constructed life together, would never have memories of her parents in the same home. Was that better or worse? Claire did not know. What she did know was that she was 7.5 months pregnant, healing from burns, in the process of divorcing a man facing criminal charges, and somehow she was okay. Not happy, not healed, but okay. Standing in her daughter's nursery at 2 in the morning, Claire made her promises. I will be enough for you. I will teach you to trust what your instincts tell you. I will show you that survival looks like strength. I will never let anyone make you feel like you are less than everything you are. The baby kicked as though in agreement. Claire smiled, her first real smile in days. We're going to be okay, she whispered. Just the 2 of us. We are going to be okay. And for the first time since the fire, she almost believed it completely. 5 days in her new apartment, and Claire was beginning to feel like a person again. The burns were healing, pale pink skin replacing what had been charred. Still tender, but manageable. The baby was active and growing well. Dr. Martinez had cleared Claire for normal movement, with restrictions. No stress, the doctor had said, which had made Claire laugh because her entire life at that moment was stress. Emma had moved in temporarily. Claire had protested. Emma had not budged. You are not doing this alone, Emma said. Not through the final weeks of pregnancy, not through the birth, not through whatever comes after. I am staying. And she was, making breakfast, fielding calls from reporters Claire could not face, standing between Claire and the world like a wall that also brought ice cream. Bridget came by every afternoon with updates from the outside. Your photographs are going to be in a gallery show, Bridget said on day 6. The curator wants to call it Survival. All revenue goes to domestic violence charities. But I need your permission first. Which photographs? Claire asked. Bridget brought out her camera and turned it toward Claire. The wedding images. The fire. Claire surfacing from the pool. Baby bump visible. The remnants of her dress still smoking. They were extraordinary photographs. Terrible and extraordinary at once. People should see them, Claire said. If it helps one woman leave sooner. If it makes one woman trust her own instincts rather than dismiss them, then yes. That afternoon, Ryan's attorney called. Douglas took it on speakerphone so Claire could hear every word. My client would like to request a conversation with Mrs. Mitchell, the attorney said. Smooth and expressionless. No, Douglas said. My client has a right to communicate with his wife regarding their unborn child. Your client has a restraining order preventing precisely that, Douglas said. And he is facing criminal charges for conspiring to harm that same unborn child. So no conversation. We are prepared to petition the court. Petition away, Douglas said pleasantly. I will see you in front of a judge, and I will bring along recordings of your client telling his mistress to remove his wife from the equation. Best of luck with that. He hung up. That was genuinely satisfying, Emma said. But Claire felt a knot of unease forming. Ryan was fighting back. Of course he was. He had never once accepted defeat gracefully at anything in his life. That night, articles began appearing online. Sources close to Ryan Mitchell suggest his estranged wife has a history of mental health concerns. Anonymous friends claim Claire Mitchell was controlling and paranoid throughout the pregnancy. Was Ryan Mitchell's affair the result of an abusive dynamic at home? The gaslighting had gone completely public. Claire read every piece, each one a fresh cut. Stop, Emma said, reaching for the laptop. They're calling me unstable, Claire said. They're saying I drove him to it, that I fabricated the conspiracy charges. No one who matters believes any of that, Emma said. But some people clearly did. Claire's social media overflowed with comments split down the middle. Half were full of support. The other half were accusations. She's playing the victim for attention. What did she do to push him away? Pregnancy can make women irrational. Maybe she invented parts of this. Claire's hands moved automatically to organize the items on her coffee table. Coasters arranged by size, remote controls aligned, magazines stacked in an even pile, panic cleaning, control behavior. She recognized it for what it was, but could not stop herself. At 2 a.m, unable to sleep, Claire found herself in the kitchen. Her hands reached for ingredients on their own. Flour, eggs, ricotta, her mother's lasagna. The one Claire had made 100 times, her hands remembering every step without needing to think. Comfort through the familiar. By 3, the lasagna was in the oven. By 4, it was out and cooling. Claire sat alone at her kitchen table eating a piece of her mother's lasagna at 4 a.m, crying quietly. Emma found her there at sunrise. You made lasagna, Emma said. I couldn't sleep, Claire said. It smells like Mom's. It is Mom's. They ate together without talking much. Grief and love and comfort layered into every bite. The following day, Jennifer called again. Have you seen the articles? She asked. Yes, Claire said. They are all lies, every single one. I have called every reporter willing to listen and told them the truth about Ryan. About his past. About the pattern. Thank you, Claire said. I am furious, Jennifer said. At him, at my parents for enabling him for years, at myself for staying silent for so long. You are speaking now? Claire said. Too late for you, Jennifer said. Not too late for the next person, Claire said. Your testimony will be on the record permanently. The next woman he targets can search his name and find the truth waiting for her. Jennifer was quiet for a moment. I never once thought about it that way, she said. Making this public is not about revenge, Claire said. It is about protection. After they hung up, Claire felt something settle into place inside for Hunter and Fernandez. Purpose. Using her own pain to shield others. That felt like it mattered. Day 10 brought an update. Vanessa's trial date was set, 6 months out. She would remain in custody. Her attorney had indicated she wanted to testify against Ryan in exchange for reduced charges. Will it work? Claire asked during a check-in call with Detective Walsh. It depends on what she is able to provide, Detective Walsh said. But Claire, Ryan is in serious trouble. The evidence against him is overwhelming. He is going to prison. Prison. Her daughter's father would be in prison. Claire had expected to feel triumph, justice, vindication. Instead, she felt a quiet sadness for the life that could have existed if Ryan had simply chosen honesty. For the father her daughter would never have in any meaningful sense. For the man she had believed in so fully, who had never been real at all. That afternoon, Douglas arrived with the divorce papers. Everything we discussed, he said. Full custody granted to you. Supervised visitation for Ryan, contingent on passing a psychological evaluation. Child support calculated on his pre-arrest income. Division of assets. He has assets left? Claire asked. The Queen's apartment was held jointly, Douglas said. You will receive half the equity. It is not a great deal, but it is something. His personal belongings. His vehicle. Once the embezzlement restitution has been settled, there is unlikely to be much remaining. Claire signed the papers. Her hand stayed steady. How long until the divorce is finalized? She asked. A minimum of 90 days, Douglas said. Longer if Ryan contests, though given the circumstances, I would not expect that. He will contest it, Claire said, out of spite. And she was right. The following day, Ryan filed a counter-motion requesting joint custody, alleging that Claire was emotionally unfit, demanding immediate access to the baby after birth. He is completely delusional, Emma said, reading the filing. He is desperate, Douglas said. His entire world has collapsed. The baby is the only thing left that he can claim. He does not have her either, Claire said. But that night, alone in her room while Emma slept down the hall, the doubt crept back in. What if Ryan was right about something? What if she was too broken to be the parent her daughter needed? What if growing up without a father caused more damage than having an imperfect one? What if she could not truly manage all of this by herself? The baby kicked, hard, insistent. Claire pressed her hand flat against her belly. I know, she whispered. I am being ridiculous. We are okay. We are going to be okay. But the doubt stayed. A quiet poison. Ryan's accusations taking root in the small hours of the night. She went to the bathroom at 3 a.m, sat in the empty bathtub and turned on the shower, letting the sound of running water drown out the noise inside her head. 3 full minutes of just breathing, just being. When she stood up and walked back out, she felt raw, but cleaner. She was not broken, she was breaking open. Broken things heal, and sometimes they grow back stronger at exactly the places where they fractured. She only had to believe that. Douglas called at 9 the following morning. Vanessa's lawyer released additional evidence, he said. You need to see this. He arrived within the hour. Emma made coffee. Robert had started coming by every morning and was already seated at Claire's dining table, working from it as though it were a second office. What is it? Claire asked. Douglas opened his laptop. Text messages between Ryan and Vanessa, 3 months earlier. He turned the screen toward Claire. Ryan. The timing is difficult. I need Claire to carry this pregnancy to term. After that, everything changes. Vanessa. I'm pregnant, too. What about my baby? What about us? Claire's breath stopped completely. She was pregnant, Emma whispered. Douglas nodded. 2 months along when these messages were sent. Vanessa. I need to know you are choosing me. Choosing our baby, not her. Not that obligation. Ryan. My father is already setting up trusts for Claire's baby, but you and I, we'd be starting completely from scratch. Can you really handle that? Single income? No family support? Vanessa. Are you saying you want me to terminate our baby because it is inconvenient for your plans? Ryan. I'm saying you need to think practically. We are not in a position to raise a child yet. Not until I've secured the inheritance. Maybe in a few years, once we're actually living together properly, we could plan a family the right way. Claire felt the nausea rising again. Last night's dinner threatening to reappear. Keep reading, Douglas said softly. Vanessa, you are asking me to choose. Your baby with her, or the possibility of us. Ryan, I'm asking you to be smart, to think long term. If you really love me, you will understand that timing is everything. Vanessa, I will make the appointment. Ryan, I'll send money for it. The messages stopped. She had an abortion? Claire said. Yes, Douglas said. 2 months ago, while you were 6 months pregnant. Claire pressed both hands against her belly. Her daughter moved beneath them, completely unaware. He paid for it, Emma said, her voice shaking. He paid to end Vanessa's pregnancy while you were carrying his child. Not his child, Claire said. Her voice was steady and completely cold. His strategy. Remember? That is what he called our daughter. Strategy. Robert had gone pale. My son did this? Your son, Douglas confirmed. Manipulated Vanessa into ending a pregnancy she wanted while simultaneously maintaining Claire's pregnancy because it served his specific purposes. He valued both lives entirely based on their usefulness to him. The room was silent. Inside, Claire something crystallized. Not broke. Crystallized, became hard and clear and permanent, like a diamond forming under pressure. Does Vanessa's lawyer have these messages? She asked. Yes, Douglas said. They are being submitted as evidence of Ryan's consistent pattern of manipulation and psychological control. The prosecution is arguing these texts prove he systematically abused both women over an extended period. Good, Claire said. Her phone rang. Patricia. Douglas sent me the texts, Patricia said without preamble. She was crying. Claire, I am so sorry. I am so deeply sorry for what my son has done. He made his own choices, Claire said. But I enabled them, Patricia said. Every time he manipulated someone, I made excuses. Every time he lied, I looked the other way. I told myself he was ambitious, strategic, when the truth was that he was simply cruel. She paused. There is something I need to tell you. When Ryan was in high school, there was an incident with a girl. She said he had pressured her into things she did not want. Robert paid her family to keep it quiet, to not press charges. We told ourselves she was lying, that our son would never do such a thing. But he would. He did. And we taught him that money handles everything, that consequences do not apply to people named Mitchell. After they hung up, Claire sat completely still. Are you all right? Emma asked. I'm realizing I never actually knew him, Claire said. The man I married does not exist. He never existed. It was always a performance, always a calculation. That afternoon, the gallery opening of Bridget's photographs took place. Claire had not planned to attend. Too public, too exposed. But Robert persuaded her. Let people see you, he said. Let them see the survivor, not the victim. So Claire went. Emma on one side, Robert on the other, Bridget just ahead of them. The gallery was full. Strangers stood looking at the worst moment of Claire's life, preserved in high resolution, her dress burning, her face twisted in pain and terror, the pool dive, the aftermath, but also Claire surfacing, hand pressed protectively over her belly. Claire in the ambulance, eyes fierce, despite the trauma. Claire in the hospital, signing divorce papers, jaw set with quiet determination. "You look powerful," a woman said. She was perhaps 50, with warm eyes. "My husband tried to kill me twice. I never reported it because I was too frightened, but seeing you here tonight, I filed charges yesterday." She hugged Claire and walked away before Claire could find words. Another woman approached. Then another. Then another. After that. Stories of abuse, of gaslighting, of finally leaving, of discovering they still had strength left in them after everything. "You made me believe I could," one woman said. "You showed me it was not my fault," said another. "You proved that survival and strength can be the same thing," said a third. By the end of the evening, Claire was drained and hollow in the way that follows something meaningful. Her pain was no longer only hers. It was working in the world. That night, unable to sleep, Claire opened her laptop and began to type. Not a diary entry, not a formal essay, just her thoughts, unfiltered. 3 weeks ago, someone set me on fire. Someone who claimed to love my husband. Someone who my husband had manipulated into believing I was the enemy. 3 weeks ago, I discovered my husband called our daughter strategy. 3 weeks ago, my life detonated. But I'm still here. We are still here. And every single day, I get stronger. This is for every woman who ignored what her instincts were telling her, who chose the comfortable lie over the terrifying truth, who stayed too long because leaving felt impossible. It is not impossible. It is only hard. But you are harder. She published it on her blog, the one she had stopped updating years earlier when Ryan had told her it was embarrassing for his wife to have public opinions. By morning, 10,000 shares. By afternoon, 50,000. Women were responding, sharing their own stories, finding each other inside the pain. Claire's phone rang without stopping. Interview requests. Speaking invitations. A publishing offer for a book. "You don't have to do any of this," Douglas said when he arrived with more legal documents. "I know," Claire said, "but I think I want to." That evening, Claire's water broke. She was standing in the kitchen reading the comments on her blog post when she felt the warm rush. "Emma," she called out, "it's time." Emma appeared in seconds, already reaching for the bags they had packed weeks in advance. "You're not due for 3 more weeks," Emma said. "Tell her that," Claire said, hand on her belly. They called Robert. He arrived within minutes. He had apparently been sitting in his car outside the building just in case. The drive to the hospital had a strange, suspended quality. Claire felt contractions building, but her mind was oddly calm. Her daughter was on her way. Early, but coming. And Ryan was not there. He had been legally notified as required. But Claire's support circle, Emma, Bridget, Patricia, and Robert, had clear instructions. Ryan would not set foot in that delivery room. This moment was Claire's. Her daughter's birth would not be stained by the man who had called her strategy. At the hospital, Dr. Martinez examined Claire quickly. 4 centimeters, she said, moving fast. First babies usually take their time, but yours seems to be in a hurry. She takes after me, Claire said. Everyone laughed. The next 6 hours were pain and breathing, and Emma's hand locked in hers, and Robert pacing in the hallway like every grandfather in every film ever made, and Patricia arriving with homemade soup for afterward. At 2 in the morning, things shifted. "The baby's heart rate is dropping," Dr. Martinez said. Her voice was calm but sharp underneath. "We need to move to an emergency cesarean section." Terror flooded Claire instantly. "Is she okay?" "She will be," Dr. Martinez said. "But we need to act right now." They wheeled Claire to the operating room. Emma was not allowed inside. Claire found herself alone with focused strangers who were about to open her body to save her daughter. "Count backward from 10, the anesthesiologist said. 10, Claire said. 9, 8. She thought about everything that had brought her to this moment. The fire, the betrayal, the emails, the divorce. 7, 6, 5. She thought about survival, about becoming someone new, someone she had not known she could be. 4, 3. She thought about her daughter, about the life they were going to build together. 2. And then, nothing. Claire woke to crying, not her own, her daughter's, small, perfect, furious at having been evicted from the warmth. "She is healthy," a nurse said, lifting the baby and laying her on Claire's chest. 8 pounds, 2 ounces. Perfect scores across the board. "You did it, Mom." Claire looked at her daughter's dark hair, her scrunched and squinting face, her tiny fingers reaching at nothing. "Hi," Claire whispered. "I'm your mom. I'm sorry, things are complicated. I'm sorry about your dad. But I promise you that I'm going to be enough for you." The baby stopped crying, turned her face slowly toward the sound of Claire's voice. "I'm going to call you Grace," Claire said, "because we got through this with Grace. And Eleanor, after my grandmother. Grace Eleanor Mitchell, and you are going to be extraordinary." Grace made a sound, tiny and complete and perfect. And Claire, who had done more crying in the past weeks than she had in the entirety of her adult life, smiled. Pure, earned, genuine. "We made it," she whispered. "We are okay." 3 months after Grace's arrival, Claire's apartment existed in a state of cheerful, beautiful disorder. Baby gear everywhere. Bottles drying beside the sink. Laundry at various stages of completion. The organized, careful space from before the birth had transformed into something lived in and real. Claire loved it entirely. She sat in the nursery rocking chair at 3 in the morning feeding Grace and felt something she had almost forgotten. Peace. Not happiness, not fully, not yet. The wounds were still too fresh for happiness. But peace, contentment, purpose. Grace had turned out to be a good baby. Or maybe there were simply no bad babies, only exhausted parents. She slept in 2-hour stretches, nursed enthusiastically, and made even expressions that convinced Claire she was already forming detailed opinions about the world. "You're judging my outfit again, aren't you?" Claire said as Grace wrinkled her nose at the spit-up-stained shirt Claire was wearing. "Yeah, motherhood is very glamorous, kid. You might as well get used to it." Emma had moved back to her own apartment 2 weeks earlier, finally confident Claire could manage solo. But she came by every single day, without fail. Marcus brought groceries. Patricia arrived weekly with containers of home-cooked food. Robert came every morning. He would hold Grace while Claire showered. He read the newspaper aloud to his granddaughter as though she were following every word. "She is exceptionally brilliant," Robert announced one morning. She looked at the financial section for 3 solid seconds. She was tracking the visual pattern, Claire said, not reading the headline. "Semantics," Robert said. Ryan had been formally charged. Embezzlement and conspiracy to commit attempted murder. His trial was 4 months out. He had attempted to call the hospital when Grace was born. His attorney had filed motions for visitation rights. Douglas had blocked all of it without difficulty. "You are not in a stable condition to be granted custody," Douglas had argued in court. "You are facing serious criminal charges. You have demonstrably manipulated 2 women into psychological breakdowns. You will be permitted to meet your daughter when she is 18 years old and old enough to decide for herself whether she wants any contact." The judge had agreed. Supervised visitation only, contingent on Ryan completing court-ordered therapy, which he had refused to begin. Grace knew nothing about her father, and Claire did not feel guilty about that for even a moment. One morning, Claire opened her laptop and found a message from a literary agent. Your blog post has been shared tens of thousands of times. I would very much like to discuss representation. You have a story the world genuinely needs to hear. Please consider writing a book. A book about her complete disaster, about surviving attempted murder and betrayal and becoming a single mother all at once. Claire looked across the room at Grace, sleeping in her bassinet. "What do you think?" she asked her daughter. "Should I write about how your father called your existence strategy, about someone setting me on fire, about how we survived all of it anyway?" Grace sneezed in her sleep. "I will take that as a yes," Claire said. That afternoon, while Grace napped, Claire began outlining, not only her own story, but the research beneath it. Statistics on domestic violence and intimate partner abuse. Resources for women in the process of leaving. Stories from other survivors she had connected with, making it larger than her own pain, making it genuinely useful. Bridget's gallery show had sold out every photograph. All revenue had been directed to women's shelters. The curator was now proposing a national touring exhibition. "You are becoming a symbol," Bridget said during a visit. "Are you okay with that?" "I am still figuring out who I am after everything," Claire said. "Adding symbol to the list feels a little surreal." "You're Claire," Emma said. "Mom, survivor, very opinionated person, occasionally questionable cook." "The lasagna last week was genuinely excellent," Claire protested. "One good lasagna," Emma said. "The other 17 meals have been questionable at absolute best." They laughed. Real, full, unguarded laughter, the kind that had felt foreign for so long. Grace woke crying. Claire lifted her and the baby settled almost immediately. "She knows you," Patricia said from the doorway. She had arrived with her weekly delivery of frozen meals. "She knows she is safe with you." That night, Claire received a letter. Not an email. An actual, handwritten letter. From Vanessa. Her hands were shaking slightly as she opened it. "Claire, I am not asking for your forgiveness. What I did was unforgivable. I tried to end your life. I tried to end your baby's life. No apology could ever be sufficient for that. But my therapist has told me I need to take real responsibility for my actions. So here it is. I was wrong. I was manipulated. Yes. Ryan systematically exploited my insecurities and my history with mental illness. But I was the one who made the choice to pour that gasoline. I was the one who struck the match. I am responsible for what I did. What I want you to know is that Ryan told me you were the abusive one, that you were controlling and cruel and had trapped him with the pregnancy, that he was miserable but felt stuck because of his family. I believed him. I thought I was saving him. I was desperate and broken and willing to believe whatever let me feel like I was the hero rather than the other woman. I am in custody now. I will likely be here for years. I am finally getting help. Real help. The right medication and therapy, and learning about myself and why I was so vulnerable to someone like Ryan. I hope you and your baby are okay. I hope you are healing. I hope someday you can think about what happened and not feel the fire anymore. I'm sorry. It is not enough. But it is all I have. Vanessa. Claire read it 3 times. Then she sat in her parked car in the building's garage for 5 full minutes, both hands resting on the steering wheel, gathering herself before going back upstairs to her apartment and her daughter and the ordinary evening waiting there. She understood, intellectually, why Vanessa had done what she did. The manipulation, the lies, the worn-down mental state that Ryan had carefully cultivated. Understanding was not forgiveness, but she could see the shape of it now. Claire folded the letter carefully and placed it in the file she kept with all the other evidence. Documentation of everything. Maybe someday she would feel compassion for Vanessa, for the other woman caught in Ryan's game. But not today. Today she was still healing, still learning the rhythms of solo parenthood, still figuring out who she was after all of it. That was enough emotional labor for one day. At Grace's 3-month checkup, Dr. Martinez commented on how well Claire appeared to be managing. "Most new mothers at this stage are exhausted and overwhelmed," Dr. Martinez said. You seem grounded. Someone tried to kill me, Claire said. Middle-of-the-night feedings feel manageable by comparison. Dr. Martinez laughed softly, then grew more serious. Are you getting any support for yourself? Therapy, given the trauma you went through? I'm starting next week, Claire said. Robert insisted on it. He said his granddaughter deserves a mother who is taking care of her own mind. Smart man, Dr. Martinez said. That evening, while Grace slept, Claire did something she had been quietly avoiding. She searched Ryan's name online. His trial coverage was everywhere. Photographs of him arriving at the courthouse, thin and haggard, nothing like the confident, put-together man she had married. The comments beneath every article were brutal. Claire found his social media. He had posted once since his arrest. Everyone makes mistakes, but no one deserves to lose everything because of one poor decision. I'm working every day to become a better man. I hope my daughter knows someday that I loved her. One poor decision. As if the 18 months of lying, the systematic manipulation of 2 women, the embezzlement of $500,000, and the implied encouragement of attempted murder were all a single, isolated moment of weakness, rather than a deliberate, consistent pattern spanning years. The comments on his post were mostly people pointing this out, but a small number were sympathetic. People are too quick to condemn. Everyone deserves a second chance. His wife probably drove him to it. Claire closed the browser. She did not need to read more. Ryan's narrative was his problem to carry now, not hers. That night, unable to sleep, Claire wrote another chapter of her book. The section on recovery, on building something new from the wreckage, on finding strength in the most unexpected corners. On 3 in the morning feedings with her daughter, feeling grateful rather than depleted because they had both made it through everything to share these quiet moments together. Grace woke at 4. Claire changed her, fed her, rocked her back towards sleep. Looking at her daughter's face in the dim nursery light, Claire felt the fierce, full weight of it. Overwhelming love. The kind that would walk through walls, the kind that had survived fire. You will never doubt your own worth, Claire whispered to sleeping Grace. I am going to make certain of that. You will know what real love looks like. Not manipulation, not calculation. Real love. The kind that is honest and safe and builds you up instead of quietly taking you apart. Grace made a small sound in her sleep. Content. Safe. Loved. Claire smiled. The kind that went all the way to her eyes, without any effort at all. The kind that had become her default somewhere along the way, without her noticing the shift. Healing was not a straight line. Some days were harder than others. Some nights she still startled, awake, smelling gasoline that was not there, still felt the heat that had been real. But those moments were coming less often, and the moments of peace and joy and purpose were filling more and more of the space. Claire was not the woman she had been before the fire. That woman was truly gone. Burned away. Completely. The woman who had stepped out of the ashes was different. Harder in certain ways, softer in others, more genuinely herself than she had ever been while trying to become Ryan's idea of a perfect wife. This woman was enough. For herself, for her daughter, for whatever came next. And that felt, for the first time in a very long time, like winning. 2 weeks before Grace's first birthday, the prosecutor's office called. Ryan has accepted a plea deal, the attorney said. 7 years for embezzlement. The conspiracy charge dropped in exchange for a full guilty plea and cooperation. He will likely not serve the full term, but he will serve at minimum 5 years. All right, Claire said. He has also agreed to the termination of his parental rights, the attorney continued. Complete and permanent termination. No visitation, no custody rights. You will have sole legal parenthood. Claire sat down slowly. This was what she had wanted. This was good news. So why did she feel sad? Mrs. Mitchell? I'm here, Claire said. Thank you for letting me know. She called Douglas afterward. It's over, she said. Really over. How are you feeling? Douglas asked. Relieved, sad, angry, Free, she said. Then after a pause, all of it at the exact same time. That is completely normal, Douglas said. Grief does not follow a logical path. Even when someone who claimed to love you turns out to have been terrible, losing them still carries real weight. That afternoon, Emma and Bridget came over with wine and a cake to mark the occasion. To never having to deal with Ryan Mitchell again, Bridget said, raising her glass. They toasted, laughed, traded stories from the past year. Grace crawled around on the floor, chasing a ball, completely unaware of the milestone being recognized around her. She won't remember any of this, Emma said, watching Grace with soft eyes. She will never know what you went through to get here. I'll tell her, Claire said. When she's the right age, an age-appropriate version, so she understands that leaving is something you can actually do, that survival is a form of strength. You should tell others too, Bridget said. The book. Speaking opportunities. You have a platform now. Claire had been keeping a careful distance from that. The manuscript was finished but unpublished. The speaking requests were sitting unanswered. Going fully public still made her nervous. I don't want the worst thing that happened to me to become the thing that defines me, Claire said. It doesn't define you, Emma said. How you responded to it defines you. That's a completely different thing. That night, Claire reread her manuscript. All 90,000 words of it. Her story. The stories of other women. Research and resources and honesty about things that were genuinely hard to say. It was good. She knew it was good. She sent it to the literary agent who had been waiting patiently. I'm ready, her email said. Just that. Grace's first birthday party was small, family only. Emma and Marcus, Robert and Patricia, Jennifer and her husband, Bridget, Douglas. A handful of close friends who had stood beside Claire through everything. No Ryan, and no particular discussion about his absence. Grace did not know him and did not miss him. The family she had was complete. They sang to her. Grace smashed her hands into the cake and got frosting absolutely everywhere. Everyone laughed and took photos and let themselves believe, for a few hours, that life was simple and joyful, because in the moment, it genuinely was. After the guests had gone, Claire bathed Grace, worked cake out of the baby's hair, and dressed her in soft pajamas. You are 1 year old, Claire said. You made it through your first year. We both did. Grace babbled something back. It might have been words. It might have been sounds with very strong opinions attached to them. I think that means you're proud of us, Claire said. She rocked Grace to sleep, singing the lullabies her own mother had sung to her, connecting the generations, building something continuous and warm. When Grace was asleep in her crib, Claire stood in the doorway, watching her daughter breathe. 1 year ago, she had been 7 months pregnant when someone set her on fire. 1 year ago, her marriage had collapsed. 1 year ago, she had believed her life was finished. But here she was, alive, healing, stronger than she had ever imagined she was capable of being. Her phone buzzed. An email from the agent. Publishers are already interested. 3 offers on the table, 1 from a major house with a significant advance. They want you as the anchor voice for a new empowerment series. Please call me tomorrow so we can discuss next steps. Claire read the message twice. This was real. Her story would be published, would reach people, would matter beyond the boundaries of her own experience. She called Emma. I think I might be becoming an author, Claire said. You already are one, Emma said. You simply didn't believe it yet. That night, Claire sat at her kitchen table with a cup of tea, looking at everything surrounding her. The apartment Robert had given her, now filled with Grace's toys and Claire's books and the particular beautiful evidence of their life together. The fading but permanent scars on her back and legs. Physical proof that she had survived. The finalized divorce papers. The trust fund secured for Grace by Robert. Real financial stability. The circle of people who had chosen to show up for her. The manuscript. That would become a book. The small consulting practice she had started from home, allowing her to work while staying present for Grace. All of it. The whole complicated, wonderful, rebuilt life. She had lost the marriage, lost the illusion of security that came with having a partner, lost the version of herself who believed love alone would be enough and ignored every warning because the truth was too frightening to face. But she had found herself. Her real, authentic, unfiltered self. She had earned wisdom through pain. She had a daughter who would grow up watching her mother survive the unsurvivable. She had a voice she was using to help others find their way through. The doorbell rang at 9. Late for visitors. Claire checked the peephole. Marcus, Emma's husband. She opened the door. "Emma wanted me to drop these off," Marcus said, handing her a folder. "She said you'd want them for the book." Inside were Bridget's photographs. Not only the fire, but everything that came after. Claire in the hospital. Claire holding newborn Grace. Claire at the park with Grace at 6 months, both of them squinting into the sun. Claire genuinely smiling. The real kind. At Grace's first birthday. The full arc of survival, documented in images. "Thank you," Claire whispered. After Marcus left, Claire spread the photographs across the table. The fire, the pain, the slow recovery, the year, 12 months, 365 days, from burning to something that looked undeniably like thriving. Her phone rang, an unknown number. She almost ignored it. "Hello? Mrs. Mitchell, my name's Dr. Sarah Chen. I am with the Women's Crisis Center. You were referred to us after your incident. I am calling because we are hosting a fundraising gala next month. We would be deeply honored if you were willing to speak, to share your story and give others hope." "I'm not sure I'm ready for that yet," Claire said. "Take the time you need," Dr. Chen said. "But Claire, women who survive publicly, who speak honestly, they save lives. Actual lives. That is real and significant." After the call ended, Claire looked at the baby monitor on the counter, its soft green light pulsing steadily. Grace sleeping peacefully, completely unaware that her mother was becoming someone new. Someone who raised her voice, who helped people, who turned trauma into something that could protect others. Claire began composing the speech in her head. "A year ago, someone set me on fire. Someone who claimed to love my husband. Someone my husband had manipulated into believing I was the enemy standing in their way. A year ago, I was 7 months pregnant, burned, traumatized, discovering that the marriage I had built my entire life around was constructed from lies, and that my pregnancy had been called strategy by the man who fathered my child. A year ago, I believed my life was ending. I was wrong. My old life was ending. My real life was just beginning. I am not going to tell you that healing is easy, or clean, or complete. I still have nightmares. I still sometimes smell gasoline when there is none. I still have moments of deep, crushing doubt. But I also have moments of genuine joy, real pride, clear purpose. I have a daughter who will grow up knowing her mother survived, who will learn that asking for help is a form of strength, not weakness, who will understand that leaving is possible, even when every part of you insists it is not. I have a voice, and I am using it to tell you this. If you are in danger, leave. If someone is making you doubt your own clear perception of what is real, trust yourself. If you are frightened, reach out. If you need help, ask for it. Because survival is not only about living through something, it is about building a life worth the surviving. I am building that life every day, one choice at a time. You can too. Claire saved the draft. She would work on it more, polish it, make it exactly what it needed to be. But the core was there. Truth, hope, strength that had been paid for with real pain. She checked on Grace, one final time. Her daughter was sleeping with one small fist curled near her face. Content, safe, loved without condition or calculation. "We did it," Claire whispered. "We made it through the fire, and now we get to build whatever comes next. Together." Grace made a soft sound in her sleep. Claire smiled. The kind of smile that came automatically now, without effort, without performance. The smell reached Claire first. But this time, it was not gasoline. It was not fear or burning or anything that signaled danger. It was Grace's baby lotion. Lavender and chamomile, the scent of their bedtime routine now, the smell of safety and home and quiet mornings still ahead. Claire pulled the nursery door softly closed and walked to her own room. She had a full day tomorrow, the book to finalize, the speech to write and refine, a consulting client meeting, Grace's pediatrician appointment. Life. Busy, purposeful, beautiful life. The kind she had built with her own hands from what remained after the fire. The kind of life worth surviving for. Outside her window, the city shone. Millions of people living their lives. Some of them happy, some of them struggling. Some of them, like Claire had once been, caught inside situations they could not yet see a way out of. For those people, Claire would write and speak and share without holding anything back. Because her survival had stopped being only about her a long time ago. It was about what comes after the burning, what emerges from the ashes. Not revenge, not bitterness, not the destruction of what hurt you. Transformation, growth, joy that arrives without warning in the most ordinary moments. Claire had been set on fire, but she had not burned. She had been forged into something stronger than she had been before, and tomorrow she would wake up and keep building. For herself, for her daughter, for every single woman who still needed to see proof that starting over was not failure. It was freedom. Claire turned off her light and fell asleep easily and deeply and at peace with who she had been, who she had become, and who she was still in the process of becoming. The fire had changed everything about her, but it had not defeated her. Nothing ever would again. If Claire's story stayed with you, if it moved something in you, do me this one favor. Click that like button so the story can reach others who need to find it. Leave a comment and tell me what you felt. Did the ending surprise you? Would you have made the same choices Claire made? I read every single comment, and what you share genuinely matters. Send this to someone who needs to hear it. Someone who needs to know that survival is possible, that starting over is not failure, it is courage. And if you want more true stories about strength, resilience, and real transformation, subscribe and turn on your notifications. Because Claire is not the only one who has survived the impossible. Thank you for being here. Thank you for listening. And remember this, you are stronger than you think you are. I will see you in the next story.